I just got a taste of what it's been like to date me. I'm 40th and just had the weirdest experience dating the male version of myself. He's 34. Got a true glimpse of what it previously has been like to date me, and I'm a little horrified, but also learned a huge lesson. Wanted to share because it's funny, and I think it ties into an important point, which is dating fucking sucks and it hurts. But it can be a great tool to learn more about yourself along the way. Background. Both of us have hyperactive ADHD and both of us have CPTSD. We had the same hobbies, upbringing, quirky favorite TV shows, just weird coincidences that blew both of our minds. It started out hot and heavy, texting each other for hours a day, declarations of potential feelings before meeting, planning. First date was amazing. And they pulled out all the stops. We opened up to each other. He shared deeply intimate things and cried. I cried too. It was all so beautiful, like a movie. Then the holidays hit. He loves Christmas. I don't. I have trauma associated with it. I could tell it bummed him out that I wasn't excited, and I believe this is where the doubt began. He cooled off big time after that. I could sense it immediately, but chalked it up to holiday exhaustion and his own feelings about his family. We met up Christmas night for our second date, and it was incredible. We slept together and it was so passionate, like everything I have ever hoped for with sex. But he got even colder after that. Still kept me hanging on with breadcrumbs, and when I tried broaching the issue, he skirted around it and pulled away more. I knew what was happening because I used to do it myself, but now I know exactly where this is headed, and there's nothing I can do at this point to change it. So I do what I do, and I bow out. He doesn't. I was so angry. Felt like I had been love bombed and then discarded with no warning. How dare he gaslight me when I try and confront him about the obvious shift in dynamic? Then it hits me. I just got a big taste of my own medicine. I just experienced what it's been like to date me. I recognize that a good portion of the hot and fizzle rapid fire of this situation was due to both of our ADHD. We have something called object permanence, which means that our brain is convinced that how we are feeling now is how we will feel forever. The excitement of a new connection is almost too much for us to handle. We become internally obsessed and tend to love bomb unintentionally due to our own excitement. Then we burn out quick too. People with ADHD burn a lot of energy inside our brains. I believe he and I just burned hot and fast. And I do see that another part is what I believe to be a fearful avoidant attachment style. There was a lot of insecurities mentioned by him, and he grew cold after he brought them up, even though I was extremely reassuring. I used to be fearful avoidant and still struggle with it, even though I now consider myself more secure. I'd get close to someone and then grow cold. And it was a constant push and pull, but since I didn't know why I was doing it, I would gaslight people when they'd confront me about the obvious shift. I'd feel so bad about myself. BC, I knew what I was doing was wrong, but had no idea why I was doing it, so the only solution for me was to bolt. I see that dynamic playing out here with me on the receiving end, and damn, it hurts. I feel bad that I made others feel that way. I have been on an intense healing journey the past 2 years, two different forms of therapy, 2x a week. I've been single the entire time and only recently felt ready to date again. I'm glad I did, because I'm learning a lot about myself and gaining more empathy for others. Dating this guy from a healing perspective and seeing my old patterns playing out, but now with me on the receiving end, has been eye-opening. It's sad, too. I regret my past behavior, but I have grace for myself at the same time, as I was deeply traumatized and struggling to survive every day. I knew what I was doing felt bad, but I didn't know why I was doing it. It wasn't until I broke up with the love of my life that I realized I needed help. I see now I was always looking for a hero, without realizing I had been the one saving myself for years. I had to be my own hero. It wasn't fair to assign that role to the men I was dating. So, yeah, I guess I'm sharing because it's an interesting tale in dating to find yourself dating the opposite gender version of you and getting to experience behaviors that you may be doing or have done to others. I'm fine with the karma comments and how I'm horrible and deserve to be ignored, abused, ridiculed, whatever. It's fine. You can't hurt me. I've heard it all. I'm just sharing the story because I think it's important to recognize and admit your faults as a way to learn and grow. Dating is painful because it exposes those faults. It's up to us to fail forward and take a lesson from each misstep. And it's about the other person and their feelings. Maybe it's just not a good fit. Either way, learning a lesson from each ending will only help you be the best version of yourself, which will help you attract healthier partners. Dating is hard. We are all just out here hurting and trying our best to find love, to fix that pain. In the long run, the only person who can heal our pain is us. If we can do this, or at least try to, we will all experience healthier and more impactful relationships. Wishing you all lots of love this holiday season, whether that with yourself or others. Story 2. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend texted an ex. Talking stage. Me, 18, and my boyfriend, 18, have known each other for 8 months and been together for 6. We're in a long distance relationship, 3.5-hour train journey, but we see each other most weekends and some weekdays too. We recently told each other we love each other for the first time, and it feels like we're on a honeymoon. We're better than we've ever been, other than a couple problems. We were around my best friend's house, Mayteen and Fin19. They're a couple and have been together for almost 2 years, and we were all sitting on the sofa chilling. I turned to my boyfriend, who's scrolling on Reels, and noticed that he's watching a video of what looks like some kind of Instagram model girl lip syncing to a song. She was very gothic/emo, which all of his exes were, and I'm not. He's watching the video for quite a while as if he's in a trance. I say to him, "Why are you looking at Instagram girls?" half jokingly, because I wouldn't usually be bothered because he'd usually scroll past, but this time he's fully watching it. So then he says to me, "I used to know her. Her name is, let's call her Sophia." I get a bit upset because he continues to watch it, even though I made it clear it made me uncomfortable. I then go upstairs to sit in bed as I felt really uncomfortable and rather upset. Some 10 minutes or so later, he comes upstairs and asks me what's wrong. He teases me and says, "Why are you acting like that?" while smiling and laughing a bit. I say to him, "You were watching Instagram girls." He replies with, "She's not an Instagram girl. She's someone I used to know." I say to him, "That makes it worse." Then he cuddles with me and says sorry, and I shrug it off, even though it was still bothering me. Then, some days later, we're on the train to London and listening to music together. He opens his phone to some messages. It's Sophia. He sent her the link to the video he saw of her, and they had striked up a conversation and were catching up with each other. I frown at him and half jokingly say, "Why are you texting her, you cheater?" And he had the audacity to say to me, "She has a boyfriend and I told her I have a girlfriend." I told her I wanted to say to him, "Oh, so if she didn't have a boyfriend, then what?" But I didn't because I didn't want to cause an argument. Then he scrolls through Spotify and I see as clear as day a playlist made by her. I get extremely uncomfortable and a terrible sick feeling, but I still ignore it because I didn't want to cause arguments and I didn't want him to think I'm jealous or childish. Then, a week or so later, I'm at his house. We're watching things on YouTube on his PS5, and he goes to search something up, and when he types the letter S, Sophia is the first word that it autocorrects to. Am I overreacting? I understand it could all just be catching up with an old friend, which I have done too, but I don't know. I love him very dearly, and we're doing so well. I want to have a conversation with him, but I'm scared he'll get defensive, then we'll argue, and it'll make everything worse, then lead to a breakup. I'm extremely anxious about the whole situation and I don't know what to do. Usually you have a gut feeling when someone is cheating on you, but what have you been through? I don't feel that gut feeling. I don't think he's cheating, but I just feel so uncomfortable about the whole situation. Story 3. How often is your first impression of someone accurate? I went out to eat with my brother last night and met his new girlfriend for the first time. It was fine. She seems fine. Nice enough, has her shit together, sort of funny. Nothing about her really made me feel thrilled to spend more time with her. She also said something that rubbed me the wrong way. At my big age, I'm finally going back to school to complete my associate degree at the local community college. I picked a major, but I'm not committed to it. So to start, I'm taking classes that satisfy credits for all of the majors I'm interested in. Either I'll stick with the major I picked or move to something else later down the line. I just want to get the ball rolling. One of the classes I'm taking is French 101. I dream of living abroad, and I'm hoping that as I pursue advanced degrees, I can transfer to a college in France to further my education. It may not be the most realistic dream, but I believe in shooting for the moon because I can always land among the stars. I need to take 2 language courses anyway, so why the heck not? So I briefly explain this, and she kind of laughs and outright says that the language education from this community college isn't going to be enough to make that happen. That's it, full thought. I said it would at least give me a foundation, and the conversation moved on. I know she's disparaging the school and not me, but first off, excuse you. Second, maybe she's not wrong, but was that necessary? Do you want to suggest an alternative then? I may be offended because she really doesn't know how difficult my educational journey has been and how even re enrolling is a huge accomplishment for me. I don't really have a choice but to start at the bottom. Also, this community college has a study abroad program and is partnered with several universities in France. So there's that. I'm trying to keep this feeling to myself because I feel like if I mention it, my partner, who is offended by nothing, that he won't really see what I didn't like about her comment. But I also feel like speaking on it gives how I currently feel room to fester. I don't really want to hold this feeling against her forever. But I feel how I feel, and it's a part of my first impression of her. Maybe she feels bad for saying that. Maybe it came out wrong. I'm not immune to foot and mouth disease. It would suck if someone I otherwise liked held a dumb comment against me. So, this brings me back around to the title. My first impression of her is May. I will, of course, go into further interactions with as clean of a slate as I can until I can form a fuller picture. But I feel like my first impressions of people are usually correct. But I also wonder if how I feel colors how I see people. And it's all a matter of confirmation bias. So I'm not exactly looking for advice on this particular situation, but I do want to hear how you all feel about first impressions, their accuracy in your experience, times you've been proven wrong, how you move past bad first impressions, etc. Story 4, for moving away and blocking my sister and mom. I, 32, am pregnant with triplets. My husband and I already picked out names and have the nursery set up. My sister, 27F, is unfortunately infertile. She had an accident as a kid and one of her tubes was removed, and she has tried but not been able to have kids. I have been very supportive through her journey and even offered to surrogate for her once. The kids are older and I've healed. And last week at our baby shower, my sister started crying while I opened gifts, so I went to go comfort her. When I waddled to the nursery where she had ran off, I saw her holding our daughter's bear and clutching it. She asked if I would just give her one of my babies now because she deserves a baby. I was absolutely stunned and said she's just sad and should head home to rest and recharge. She did, but then later she started bombarding me with texts and calls saying I owed her this because I get everything I want and she doesn't, and that it's not fair. I get 3 babies and she can't have any. I messaged our mother these texts, and my mother said she would talk to her, but that I was being rude by shutting her down immediately. Later the next day, I laid down for a nap and heard my door open. My sister has a key, and she came in and went to the nursery. I met her in there and asked what she was doing. She was stuffing things into a bag. She said that she was taking one of the babies once they're born, since, I said, is surrogate anyways. So I told her absolutely not and to leave. She got in my face and threatened CPS once they're born and said she would get them one way or another. She finally left after ranting, and I called my husband. We decided to move, and I blocked her. We are looking at house 3 states away where my husband and I can relocate for work. My mom was calling me saying I should have just rationalized with my sister instead of kicking her out. FF to today, our realtor showed us a home and we put in an offer. We aren't really worried about moving too fast, as we want to disappear rather quickly to get away from my sister, who I think is having a breakdown. We had already been looking to move anyways once the kids are a few months old, and we're looking for houses and ideas, but we're going to move within the area. I told my mom we are leaving. She told my sister. My sister showed up to my house with my mom and freaked out, saying we couldn't leave. The cops got called. They were warned to stay away, and then I blocked them both. Story 5. Feeling shame about being a career late bloomer. I recently turned 34 and realized that I have never held a full-time job, and I carry so much shame about it. I did an interesting but functionally useless science degree for my undergrad. Spent most of my 20s working part time at a patchwork of places, living abroad and traveling, barely scraping by, but not worrying about it too much. I had vague thoughts of a career direction, but there was no real urgency. I had fun, had some important life experiences, and was taking my time. It was hard at times, but nice. When I hit 27, I moved back to the US, and my dad told me I needed to get my shit together. I started looking around at my friends from college and high school and realized they were starting to get married, buy cars, contribute to their 401ks, and generally traditionally successful. I then looked at myself with $200 in my bank account and no real job experience and panicked. It hadn't even occurred to me that I didn't have my shit together. Over time, I slowly found a path I felt excited about, networked a lot, and taught myself some skills to get started in a new creative field. Now, 7 years later, I have 5 internships, a master's degree, a cross country move, a late ADHD diagnosis, plus suspected mild autism, and a lot of part time slash freelance experience under my belt, but I still can't find a full time job. I did an internship this summer at 33 with a few 20-somethings, and someone younger got an offer instead of me. They told me they didn't hire me because I needed more experience, and it just felt so demoralizing. I know part of this is the current job market. Living in a large city and the industry I'm seeking to join is competitive, but part of it is also my battle with this shame that I carry, that I got started so much later than my peers, and I'm farther behind them. The word loser and there being something wrong with me float around in my head a lot. I realized this summer that I have this ego complex around being older but still starting out, and that my whole narrative around myself and my journey is almost apologetic and reflects my shame. I struggle with knowing what kinds of positions I'm qualified for. I'm more experienced than an intern now, and even some junior positions. But since I've never held a full-time position, I'm not qualified for most senior level positions. I've been networking a ton, going to meetup groups, reworking my resume, applying as much as I can, taking freelance jobs, etc., etc. I do truly believe I'm capable and skilled in my field. It really seems like it's going to take one person taking a chance on me. I'm just getting so tired of trying so hard. and still barely scraping by financially. I feel closer than I ever have been to a full time position, but part of me thinks that what's holding me back from achieving it is my limiting beliefs about myself and my path. I guess I'm hoping that maybe there's someone else out there who either has been in this position before, has any advice, or sees something that I'm not seeing in my story, even if it's hard to hear. Story 6, WIBTA. Should I reconsider and share the heartfelt letter with him after unblocking him? I am 37F, single, and my beloved 33 is married. Should I reconsider and share the heartfelt letter with him after unblocking him? I am 37F, single, and my beloved 33M is married. We first met when he was 21 and I was 25. It wasn't love at first sight. He was the marble supplier, and I was the architect in charge of the building project. We started dating casually, but love unexpectedly grew. However, he decided to break up with me because he wanted a more serious relationship. After the breakup, we lost touch for a few months. During that time, he started dating another girl. Interestingly, we met again on a trip to visit his eldest brother, sister in law, and niece. It was a lovely journey, and when we returned, he introduced me to his mother. His girlfriend became aware of our encounter and asked to join the same trip. But his sister in law confided in me that he seemed unhappy and annoyed. When I discovered his girlfriend was pregnant, I decided to walk away. 8 years passed, and then I received a call from him. My heart skipped a beat. It was unbelievable, especially since I had been thinking about him just days before. We frequently called each other for months and met up 3 times. Although he was married, he treated me with affection, reminiscent of our past. He couldn't help but gaze at my lips. His eyes betrayed his lingering feelings. However, his wife discovered a photo of a cookie I brought for him, and we stopped contacting each other at my insistence. This year I reached out again. Coincidentally, he was working in the same town where my company was sending me. We spent a night talking while we were both in town. He preferred staying in bed, chatting with me. Nothing romantic happened. Before he returned to the city, I confessed my lingering feelings, but made it clear I wouldn't engage in an affair. He professed his love, and we parted with a heavenly hug. Afterward, I blocked him and erased his number. Recently, I found a draft of a letter I wrote to him 10 years ago. Rereading it, I realized my feelings remain unchanged. Should I reconsider and share the heartfelt letter with him after unblocking him?